Aloha, Daniel Molina here, and this is my beautiful wife, Lucy Molina. And today we're going to talk about why we started Inside Outreach. So Lucy, we moved here about 5 years ago, and the instructions we got that we felt like from the Lord was to restore the people, restore the Aina, and the first thing was to learn first, right? And so we went from serving the community the last 5 years, helping community leaders, Auntie Blanche, North Shore floods, all these things in the between, to this year, the beginning of 2023, we started Inside Outreach.
That's right.
And so how do we get from moving here with our 7 kids, and then now we have a nonprofit called Inside Outreach to serve the community so that we can do more? So how did we get here?
So, when we first got here back in 2018, we felt called by God to come to Hawaii, that we were supposed to sell everything and move. We definitely prayed about it. And after hundreds of different confirmations that all pointed to us moving here, we moved. We sold our house, we sold everything, and we brought our 7 kids and we moved here. And even in coming to Hawaii, we still didn't have like a distinct plan of why we were here. We just felt so deep in our hearts that this is where God wanted us, and that there was something to be done, that there was something that God wanted us to do here, specifically on Oahu, but in general over all the islands of Hawaii. And so in praying about why we were here, we felt that the calling was to, like you said, help the people. And not just in helping, but restoring. It was very specific to restore the people and to restore the land. And that sounded like a really huge task for just, I say our little family. But we're just so few people to do such a huge task.
And I think it's important to learn from the people, because I think sometimes what happens is people go into situations and think they're the smartest person and they have all the ideas. And if you understand anything about culture, if you understand anything about different countries, is that's the worst thing you can do, is go into a place thinking you have all the solutions and you're the savior, you're coming to save people, right? That's the worst thing you can do. And so what I feel like was cool is that the Lord says, no, don't go over there thinking you know all the ideas. Go learn from the people and hear their hearts, talk to the community, learn from the community. And I love that that's what we did first.
Right. And so even still, in the back of our minds was, but what we're really going to do ultimately is restoring the people, restoring the land. That's huge. How do we do that with 2 adults, 7 little kids? How do we do this? And so I know for me that weighed pretty heavy on my heart, especially everywhere that we would go. We always saw that there were people in need, whether it's the homeless that are out on the street, or we were seeing even just driving by communities where people had a house, but we're seeing it so run down, like they need it repaired desperately. Or we're seeing even businesses that are falling apart, or driving by schools and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's the playground? Like it is rusted so bad, or it doesn't look safe, it's falling apart. The fence, at least, like, can we help this school like rebuild their fence? Like the fence is falling down, And so just different things that we were seeing as we would drive around. Man, like there was so much restoration that needed to happen.
And before you go to the next point, if I may, I lived here obviously as a kid.
Right.
I was raised here, and so then we came back on our honeymoon. So
yes. Back when?
2000. And then we came back again in 2018.
Right.
And one thing that I noticed was, oh my gosh, that thing looks the same thing, the same way as if I lived here.
Right.
Why is no one fixing that or restoring that? I remember one school here, I won't say it is, they had the same football field and bleachers for the past 30 years.
Right.
And then someone said, oh, they finally redid it. So what's going on? Like, so to your point, is like we're walking around, we're driving around, and now I get to share the same experience with our kids, and so now you're saying, we're seeing all these things that, why is anybody not fixing these things?
Right. And I remember even speaking to one of the locals here, and we just happened to start a conversation, and he was talking to us about trying to go to school to become, I think, a lawyer. And we had asked him what his passion was, and his passion was construction. Like, he loved construction. He just wanted to build things. He wanted to be like a general manager and loved that, but he was going to school for something totally different. And so we asked him, why, if this is your passion, why are you going to school to be a lawyer? And his answer was, well, I need to make enough money to survive. And in what I would really like to do, I don't feel like I would make enough money. And so that was sad for me. I immediately thought, oh my gosh, not only do we need to help restore, in the physical needs, but looking to the inside, helping people with their dreams, their goals, their plans, their finances, their lives, and restoring hope to people. If I had enough time in that moment, he actually ended up leaving the island, but if I had enough time in that moment, I would have sat with him and said, man, how can we help you to follow your dreams and pursue a path of complete joy that would fulfill you as a person, so that you could do the things that you're called to do, and just really introduce them to that life of joy and hope, and restore him into what he felt like he had always been called to do, of what was on the inside, and not just doing something because he needs the money to live here.
Yeah, and that's one thing, a big issue here in Hawaii, is that it costs so much to live here. And it's because what's happening is a lot of people are buying up properties and they're turning into Airbnbs, right? So Hawaii is obviously one of the top, if not number one destination. 10 million people come here every single year. And so what happens is when these people are buying these properties to turn into Airbnbs, well, then it drives up the prices of these homes. And so the locals are being driven out. And so for them, then there's only so far you can go before, you're obviously in the water, right? And so things are becoming more expensive community after community. And so they want to do these high-end jobs, doctors and lawyers, because they got to make the money because they want to stay here. This is their home, right? This is where they live. They were born and raised, and they want to raise their kids. And so that's why they do these things. And so there's a lack of solutions to help these people learn how to monetize what they enjoy, what they love, what their calling is. And so they leave the island because, and so that's just one little thing that we see. Another community we were talking to and us learning is they're saying there's a lot of fatherlessness. Because of the lack of fathers, you got kapuna, you got aunties raising kids yet again, and it's just a big burden. They didn't plan out to try to find a job to pay for them and people that they have to take care of. And so those, again, another problem or another issue that we see, learning of like, wow, like there's such a huge need here. Like who's providing these needs? And then we ask the churches, say, what are you doing to fulfill these needs or to provide a solution? And there's plenty of churches that are, but they're limited because I heard a stat that says 12% of people go to church here. So if only 12% of people go to churches here and only 90%, only 10% of people who go to church give tithes and offerings, who's funding and who's taking care of these needs when the church is barely surviving?
Right.
It's just like, it's just, wow, what's going on? And so we learned a lot. What other issues do we find here that we run into? Well,
I want to talk just a little bit about how in discovering that this is what our calling was, to restore the people, to restore the land, there was just a lot of downloads, I guess. Like the Lord was just showing us how he was wanting to do this in the sense of like what it could look like, not how to do it, but what it could look like. And we began to have a dream of really reaching every single community on the island, where every community was reached, where we were fulfilling lacks, fulfilling needs, whether they were financial or physical or emotional, even coming in and just saying, is there anything that you need for your home? And just meeting people and seeing, oh, all they need is, this is, Kapuna who lives here and she can't mow her grass and she just needs help with that. Like just practical needs. But as we were seeing, wow, there's so many communities here and there's so many homes, like how could we possibly reach all these people? Again, going back to, I kept seeing just our small little unit of a family, or I guess I should say we're a small army within ourselves, but we're just 9 people, right? How are we going to accomplish going from one community to the next until the entire island has been reached and has been restored and has been helped, and we've brought aid of some sort? How is that going to happen? And in the process of us learning, because that was the instruction, of us meeting other people, starting to meet other community leaders and other organizations, we began to realize there's people that are already doing the work. I don't know if you had this thought. I think I had this thought that God was sending us here because what he wanted to accomplish didn't exist. And I learned in those first 2 years where we just learned and served that there's plenty of people doing the work that God has already desired here. And I just thought, okay, people are doing this. They're helping the homeless. They're out there feeding the hungry. There's ministry for the kupuna. There's
beach cleanups.
So there's, helping with farming, with the environment, everything. There's all these very unique organizations that already exist. And so I thought, okay, this is perfect. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to come in and try to create something that has never existed before. I feel like that's impossible. And so
the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So
That's true. So that took a lot of pressure off. We didn't have to reinvent something. And so what we started to see was, as we met these community leaders and people who had these other organizations, they had some amazing work that they were doing, but they lacked the resources. Mm-hmm. Or they lacked communications, like
how to tell the story.
Nobody knew about them, right? Like nobody knew about them, right? So our first opportunity to actually help a community was when we met Auntie Blanche at Hui Mahiai Aina. And so our purpose, we went out into Waimanalo and we thought, okay, we're going to invite the leaders in, all the people that we know here in Waimanalo. Let's invite them in, let's have a meeting and just see how can we extend their reach, because that's kind of how we landed. We felt like we landed in a place of what we're going to do is we can help these other organizations, and if we can help them do the work, in essence, we are helping the entire island. And so we invited these leaders in and just kind of heard their needs and different things that they had already been doing within the community and what we could possibly do to help them. And so Auntie Blanche was one of those leaders. And it was so cool just to hear what she was doing. And she was super excited that we were there. And she quickly raised her hand in the meeting and she said, I will take all the help that you guys can give. And so we said, okay. So soon after, like within the next couple weeks, right?
Yeah, because it was around Christmas time. We ended up purchasing
it was, I think, October, November is when we had that meeting. And we just hit the ground running with Auntie Blanche. And she showed us around the land that she had. And it was, she was just barely starting. And this was around...
So what was it? Well, what did she have?
So she had land for the homeless in Waimanalo. And her passion and her dream was to take all of the people that were, specifically those that were on the beach front there at Waimanalo Beach, to take them onto her property and provide them with a place to live, a dry place where they wouldn't be drenched from the rain, provide them with a kitchen, bathroom, and then a community. That was the most important part, was she was really trying to create a community for these people, not just a safe place to sleep, which is also really important, but her heart to create a safe, loving community for them. And so this was around the time of COVID. It was actually, I don't know if it was 2020, December of 2020, or if it was December of 2019. I can't remember exactly. 2019. So then COVID started right after that. But yeah, so we just hit the ground running. The first thing we did is we asked, okay, how many kids are in this community? And we gathered funds from people who were willing to donate. And we bought a bunch of bikes.
20 bikes.
Yeah, 20 bikes, right? And they were so excited. It was such a joy to show up. And we showed up on Christmas morning.
Christmas morning, the news was there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think, like, we had this vision together that, hey, you need to come here and restore the island, restore the people. And when we have finished learning, it was finally time, all right, now go start serving. And our first outreach was with Auntie Blanche, and it was televised. Not that that's important, but I was talking to Auntie Blanche, and she was saying how because that was televised, it actually helped her community even
Right.
more to get more exposure, and then more people started to help after that time.
Right.
And so that's when you know, okay, we're onto something. God is doing something. It doesn't just happen. The news doesn't just show up because, for things like that, right? And so it was cool that our very first thing we did was that, and then, like I said, we started serving the community, and there's other communities, and the flood happened. So then Hawaii got hit with floods because it rained a lot. It was so raining. There was a river that got overflowed, and it just hit North Shore,
the dam broke.
right, in Haleiwa. And so people were in shock. It didn't hit a lot of people, but it was at least, I want to say, about 25 families, maybe around there.
And then with some businesses
And
as well.
businesses around there that got affected. So we said, all right, well, let's mobilize people and go help them, right? And so we put out a shout out on social media, hey, we need volunteers, meet us here, and we'll tell you what we need. Bring shovels, gloves, and we're gonna go hit the ground running. And so we went out to North Shore, and we started taking mud out of people's homes. There were some businesses that had mud, so we helped them too. And we had Halua Tomatoes. They provide tomatoes to most of the restaurants here in Oahu. And he said 6 months worth of work just gone overnight.
Yeah.
And then when we went in and we brought in so many people in there to help, he says, this was going to take me months to do. You guys did it in a couple
3
weekends.
days.
In 3 days.
3 days.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we just started serving the community. Again, we don't have a nonprofit. It's just, hey, babe, we're called to do this, so let's do this work and let's help people.
Right.
And it just kept going on and on, just different things. People were inviting us, starting hearing about us, of how we started serving the community just because. For the past, I would say, 3 years, we've been serving the community just because that's what we felt like we were called to do. And then we started a nonprofit because we realized, like Lucy was saying in the beginning, we realized that we can't do this on our own. This is way bigger. Money does not grow on trees. I don't have a lily patch of money. It's going to be bigger than what we can do. And so we started a 501c3 in the beginning of 2023. And literally within months, the Lahaina fire happened. And oh my gosh. And that was devastating. That was so devastating to Maui. And so we flew out to Maui and talked to community leaders there to figure out, how do we serve the community? How do we help? And because we had this nonprofit, we had hookups with Hawaiian Airlines. People can trust us because we're a 501c3 versus, hey, give Daniel and Lucy money. We're going to give it to people in Lahaina. That would never have happened, I don't think. Maybe our friends and family who knew us.
Right.
But because we already had so much community involvement, clearly on our website, you can see all the things that we've been able to do. But not everyone knows who we are. But because we have the 501c3, we're able to raise, I want to say, like $18,000. We were able to give a truck to a community out in Lahaina. We went out there and helped local leaders build a website that supports Lahaina. We were just able to do so much. Why? Because we had a 501c3 and we had a nonprofit. And we teamed up with other nonprofits like River of Life. We love them. That's a great nonprofit. We teamed up with other organizations that are doing good work, like Lucy was saying. And together we were able to really help. And so this nonprofit that we started, we just realized we can't do it by ourselves. And we never thought we could, because we always leaned into the body of Christ or just the community, caring citizens, to say, hey, come help us. We're cleaning up the beach. We're helping this auntie or this uncle. We're helping the homeless, or we're out, whatever we're doing. We're always inviting anybody who wants to come and serve. And it's beautiful. And so, now that we're here almost 6 years.
Right.
Almost 6 years. And we're continuing to do the work. And so what is Inside Outreach? And that's the goal, right? What is Inside Outreach? Why do we do what we do? So what are we doing?
So in essence, Inside Outreach is a nonprofit organization that helps other nonprofit organizations. And so at the end of the day, it's never about us. It's never about Daniel and Lucy. It's never about even our family. Our kids do a whole lot with Inside Outreach. They love going to the farms. They love getting dirty, helping out in the Lo'i patch, or when we were over in Waimanalo at Auntie Blanche's community, they love being there, running around, and it's so hard to pull them out and tell them it's time to go home because they'll stay there all day long if we let them. So it's never even about us. It's always about the people. It's always about helping others. It's always about giving glory to God in everything that we do. So even if Inside Outreach is not featured or mentioned, we don't care. And that's okay.
And that's what we've been doing for the past 5 years that we've been here, is that we don't care. Like, we don't want the name. We don't want a logo in the back of a t-shirt that says we were a part of it. And so it was really hard to start a nonprofit because we really don't care about that. We just want to help and serve the community. And so when you start to try to create a brand or some kind of entity, then it's like, oh, you have an agenda. And it's no, the agenda is serving the community. Inside Outreach is just what we call it. And it allows us to have access to certain resources because we're a nonprofit, which makes the work more impactful. And so like Lucy said, is like, really, it's the community. It's the community, and really, it's the love for the people that needs to be shining. And so, whether Inside Outreach is involved or not, who cares? Let's just help. But because now we do have it, it's helping people.
Or people just didn't know that even existed within the community, because we met people who were either feeding the homeless in a specific place on a specific day. People in the community didn't know that. They didn't know that was happening. Or others that had beach cleanups, they didn't know that was happening. And so even if we could just help in getting the word out for these other organizations to make them known, just like with Auntie Blanche, with Hui Mahiai Aina, when we first started with them, nobody knew that there was this land tucked away in Waimanalo that was helping the homeless. And no one knew that Auntie Blanche was going out to the beach in Waimanalo and saying, hey, pack up your stuff and come live with me. Nobody knew that she was doing that. And until we came along and gave her and the property exposure. And so then we started bringing along churches to come and help. We started creating these outreach events on the property to work in the field, to create a garden, to bring extra food or clothes or toys for the kids. And so we had all these other organizations coming to be a part of what was going on there in Hui Mahiai Aina. And now we hear stories of people saying, oh, hey, I'm doing an outreach event in Waimanalo at Auntie Blanche's community. We loved it so much that now I'm bringing another group. And so it's been like this perpetuated outreach for them, and we can step back because they have so much exposure that there's so much outreach going into this one community. They're good. They're set. They have so much pouring in. And so now we're searching for that next community, that next spot where we can come in, bring them exposure, and help them extend their reach of what they're trying to do. And really, it's all about pushing Auntie Blanche and Uncle Willie forward and making them highlighted.
That's right. Championing what they're doing.
Championing what they're doing so that others can notice. And I mean, they have so much exposure now, and we love it. It's amazing. It's great. And they're receiving so much aid. It's crazy. They actually have so much overflow of aid that they take as a community. They all take what they have and they go and pass out food and supplies to other homeless communities because they have such an overflow now, which is beautiful.
Yeah. And so in essence, we're here to help other nonprofits that are already doing a good work, and they just need a little bit of help here and there. And so then we mobilize volunteers to support what they're doing. We help them build a website. We consult, we just try to help other people, but obviously each different organization have different issues or different things that they need. And so we're an organization that support others. One thing that I like to say as an example would be in the Bible, it talks about Moses. And when he was in the battle, and as long as he had his arms up, then they would continue to win the battle. But he was growing tired, so then Aaron helped him hold his arms up. And so oftentimes people don't really pay attention to the Aarons, they just pay attention to the Moseses, which is fine. And so see us as Aarons, right? We're here to help. You're doing a good work. We love the nonprofits existing, doing good work, and all we want to do is be errands to help you continue to win the battle on whatever it is, whether it's homelessness, single moms, drug addictions, churches, whatever organization that's reaching to the community, helping restore the Aina, restore the community. We want to come and champion you in that. And that's what Inside Outreach is. And we also do some of our own stuff where we're helping single moms and beach cleanups and farms that we go and help. So it's both helping organizations and helping communities. So we can only do so much, right? Mm-hmm. That's been the theme of what we've been sharing with you today. And that's why we need now partner with you. Whoever's watching this is to donate to Inside Outreach, is to partner with us, whether you're a volunteer, if you need help, and if you want to donate, to connect with us, because we can only do so much. And with partnering with people, not just here in Hawaii, but people in the mainland or all over the world, and we've been given already, and we've been able to do so much because people give. But we want to take this to the next level, and that's why we started this, because it's bigger than what we can do. We want to hire employees. We want to, Lucy and I are taking zero from Inside Outreach. This is not something that we're using for income at all. This is literally a organization that we also help with our own money to go into the community.
Yeah, we definitely fund quite a bit of our own endeavors.
And, we're limited because of that, right? And so let's open it up to the world and say, hey, give, right? Give. One thing that I love to say is 10 million people come to Hawaii every single year. I think I mentioned that earlier. If each person just gives $1, just $1 to Inside Outreach, that's $10 million a year we get. If they give $5 a month, that's do the math, bro. If they give $5 a month, I did it. It's $12 million a year, right? So for us partnering with you in however capacity, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, if you need help, reach out to us. Because there's so much more that we can do. Just some simple stats. 44% of Hawaii residents live under the ALICE threshold. Out of that, about 15%, which is about 150,000 people, live under the poverty threshold. And so there's a huge need. And we just scratched the surface with what we shared with you on the challenges here in Hawaii. And we want to help. We want to team up with organizations. And when you give to our organization, we literally give to those organizations, right?
Now, if you would like to donate, but you don't necessarily want to donate financially, we would love to have you donate your services. There's so many of you out there that are gifted in different trades, that you are gifted in counseling, in medical, all those things. We need them. We need people who are going to say, you know what, I may not financially give, but next time that you're in the community, I would love to come in. I am a certified counselor. I can come in and speak with the people. Or I am a medical professional, and I would love to donate my services. Next time you go into the homeless communities, I would love to go and just do some routine medical examinations and just help the people with their health, and maybe speak on nutrition. Just we need people to help teach other things as well. So if you have a gifting, if you have a profession that you feel would help with this organization, please, by all means, donate your services as well.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We appreciate everyone that supports us, who's been supporting us already. Thank you so much. One thing we like to say here at Inside Outreach is that there will be no needy persons. So partner with us so that we can make that a reality.
Aloha everyone, and mahalo nui.